Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into something really fascinating, the signals our bodies send out, often without us even thinking about it.
Hmm.
Specifically, we're looking at nonverbal cues that might, suggest someone's romantically interested in you. It's like trying to understand that subtle dance of attraction.
Exactly. We're going beyond just the words people say and looking at what psychology and expert observation tell us about these nonverbal signals. Our guide here is an article, 11 Body Language Signs a Guy Likes You, which pulls together different studies and expert takes on this.
Right. So for you listening, if you're keen on understanding these social dynamics, our aim is to unpack these signals, make them clear, maybe even memorable, but without it feeling like, homework.
Yeah, definitely want to avoid the textbook feel.
Okay, so where do we start? Let's dive right in with maybe the most fundamental one, eye contact.
Okay, eye contact. And what's interesting right away is that initial moment. Some studies suggest women often prefer to have kind of registered a guy's presence, maybe exchanged a quick glance before he approaches.
Ah, so not feeling like they just appeared out of nowhere? Makes sense.
Exactly. It's that little bit of like pre-acknowledgement. It feels less abrupt.
Okay, so that's the approach. Then, in the actual conversation, holding that gaze seems pretty key, doesn't it? The research points to prolonged eye contact, meaning interest.
Yeah, it often does. When you're genuinely interested, you naturally focus. So holding eye contact is a nonverbal way of saying, hey, I'm tuned in. It builds that connection, that little bit of intimacy.
And it's not just looking, is it? I saw something about pupil dilation. Are pupils actually getting bigger?
That's right. It's tied into our nervous system. When we see something or someone we find appealing, our brain chemistry shifts slightly, releasing things linked to pleasure, and bam, the pupils can widen.
Wow.
It's totally involuntary, a really primal response.
So our eyes are literally opening up more. Okay, now this one surprised me. Blinking. The article suggested more blinking could be a sign. Something about batting eyelashes.
Yeah, that's one theory, that faster blinking somehow mimics that flirtatious gesture subconsciously. But it gets nuanced. Expert Gavin Stone actually suggests the opposite can be true during conversation.
Oh, how so?
He argues that sustained eye contact combined with a slower blink rate shows strong attraction and engagement. He sees rapid blinking more as nervousness or stress. So it's less about the number of blinks and more the rhythm, the context.
Right, the quality of the look, not just how often they blink. Okay, what about this flirting triangle? Sounds intriguing.
Yeah, think of it like zones on the face. With strangers, we tend to look mostly between the eyes and maybe the nose, a small triangle.
Okay.
With friends, that triangle might widen to include the mouth. But when there's romantic interest, the gaze can apparently broaden further, maybe down towards the chin, neck, or even upper body.
So the triangle gets bigger, lower down?
Kind of, yeah. And the idea is the stronger the attraction, the more the gaze might linger or focus within that expanded area. Like their eyes are just drawn there.
Okay, that's a useful visual. But what if they're not holding your gaze? What about just like quick looks, glancing?
Good point. Glancing is important too. Even if they're not staring, frequent brief looks your way can signal they're aware of you, drawn to you. The article actually breaks down two types of glances to look for.
Okay, lay them on us.
First is the room sweep. Picture someone just casually looking around, head moving side to side, eyes scanning. They might briefly pass over you in that scan, but don't really stop. It's subtle. A low-key checkout.
Got it. Like taking in the scene, including you. What's the other one?
The other is the direct look. This is quicker, more targeted. A distinct, maybe 45-degree head turn for a very brief look straight at you. Not at who they're talking to, but at you.
Ah, much more intentional.
Yeah, it feels bolder. The article suggests the rune sweep is like subtly checking you out, while the direct look is almost like they want you to see them looking. A couple of those direct looks quickly can count as one instance, apparently.
Interesting distinction. Okay, let's shift to something more unconscious, mirroring. What's going on there?
Mirroring is fascinating. It's that thing where we subconsciously start copying the body language of someone we feel connected to. Like you cross your legs and a moment later they do too.
Uh-huh.
Or you lean forward on your elbows, they do something similar. It often happens without thinking when we feel rapport. It builds a sense of similarity, of being in sync. Some think it's linked to mirror neurons in the brain.
And the article even suggests, like, testing it. Subtly make a gesture and see if they copy. But obviously context matters hugely.
Absolutely, yeah. You can't read too much into one instance. But it can even happen with tiny things, like blink rate. If you're blinking a bit more because you're attracted, they might subconsciously match that rate.
Yeah.
It creates this nonverbal synchrony.
And experts weigh in on this too.
Definitely. Joe Navarro mentions how our feet often point towards what we're interested in, so check where their feet are aimed. He also talks about the mirroring of bigger things, like crossing legs or leaning.
Right.
And Gavin Stone sees it as a really strong sign, almost an open display of love and admiration. He thinks it shows a deep connection.
Wow, our bodies are really talking. So mirroring is doing the same thing around the same time. What's directional coupling? How's that different?
Directional coupling is more about flow, less about exact imitation. It's where one person's movement seems to sort of predict or lead the other's movement shortly after.
Like a subtle dance.
Kind of. The example given is like if you start gently swaying to music on a date, and then a bit later they start swaying in a similar rhythm following your lead, that's directional coupling.
Okay, I see. It's more fluid.
Exactly. And there's research on this. A study found that this kind of matched body sway in early dating, where one person leads and the other follows, correlated with the leader being more interested in a serious relationship, even if the initial attraction wasn't off the charts.
That's really interesting. It hints at a willingness to connect and follow, maybe.
Perhaps, yeah. A sort of subconscious attunement.
Okay, moving to something a bit more, well, tangible. Physical touch.
Right. Touch is pretty direct, isn't it? Expressing affection, closeness. The article notes that someone interested might find small reasons to touch, brushing your arm, a hug that lasts a second longer, playful taps or nudges.
Tracy Cox gave that example of touching someone's arm or the small of their back when guiding them. That feels definitely beyond just, basic politeness.
I agree. And Gavin Stone is even more direct, suggesting regular touching is often a clear signal of sexual desire or attraction. But there's a really big but here.
Let me guess, culture.
Exactly. Culture plays a huge role. In some places, touch is common and doesn't mean much romantically. In others, it's rare. So, lack of touch doesn't automatically mean disinterest. It could just be cultural norms or personal space preferences.
Very important point. Don't assume. But on the flip side, repeatedly pulling away from touch could be a sign, right?
It could signal disinterest or discomfort, yes. Though again, context is key. Maybe they're just not a touchy person or they're feeling hot or cold. But if it happens consistently, it's something to, note.
Fair enough. Okay, what about things people do to their own appearance? Like preening.
Ah, yes, self-grooming. The idea is, if someone is frequently adjusting their hair, smoothing their clothes, touching their face when they're around you, it might mean they want to look their best for you.
Making sure everything's in place.
Pretty much. It's often subconscious. Repeatedly touching or smoothing hair is a common one, especially if they don't seem to do it as much otherwise.
And Tracy Cox had those zones for face touching.
She did. The beard zone, jaw, chin, lips she linked to digging your vibe. The head zone, hair, neck, nose, forehead might mean feeling a spark. And the body zone below the collarbone, fiddling with clothes, could indicate, well, stronger attraction.
But we're talking active, repeated touches, not just resting your chin in your hand or something absent-minded.
Correct. It's about those little, often unconscious, grooming or adjusting actions, not just static poses.
Got it. Okay, another physical one. Leaning in. Seems straightforward.
Generally, yes. Leaning towards someone usually signals interest, engagement, attraction. It closes the physical distance, creates a bit of intimacy.
Shows you want to be closer, hear them better.
Exactly. It suggests trust, affection, but like anything, context matters. Leaning in aggressively with a certain posture or facial expression could mean dominance, not attraction.
Right, look at the whole cluster of signals. The article mentioned things like facing you, uncrossed arms, relaxed posture, maybe sitting closer than necessary.
Yes. Or puffing the chest slightly, putting an arm around you protectively. Those tend to support the liking interpretation of leaning in.
And conversely, closed-off posture, creating space, pulling away those might suggest the opposite, though again, could be other reasons.
Precisely. Context, context, context.
Okay, let's zoom in on the face itself, facial expressions. Hard to fake those sometimes.
Very hard. Our facial muscles can be quite revealing, even when we try not to be. Like a quick fleeting eyebrow raise when you say something can signal intrigue, interest.
And what about lips? Biting or touching lips?
That can sometimes indicate excitement or maybe nervousness, which could stem from attraction. A little self-soothing gesture, perhaps.
And blushing, the classic involuntary giveaway.
Yep, that reddening of the cheeks. While it can happen for various reasons, it's definitely linked to emotional arousal and can certainly happen when someone feels attracted or flustered in a good way.
Okay, shifting from sight to sound. Tone of voice, how does that play in?
It's subtle but interesting. It's not just what they say, but how. Research actually suggests men might subconsciously lower their voice pitch when talking to someone they find attractive.
Really? Why?
The theory is it's perceived as more masculine, more dominant, perhaps. Studies on vocal modulation in courtship found men tend to use a lower pitch and also more varied intonation when talking to women they're attracted to.
Wow, so their voice literally changes slightly.
Subtly, yeah. It's another one of those subconscious things.
And then the big obvious ones, smiling and laughing.
Can't forget those. A genuine smile, the kind that reaches the eyes, makes them crinkle at the corners. The Duchenne smile, that's a pretty reliable sign of real enjoyment and positive feeling.
If their smile gets bigger and more genuine when they see you, that's a good sign.
Often, yes. It signals genuine pleasure at your presence. That authentic, uncontrolled smile is really powerful.
And laughter.
Laughter shows comfort, happiness. If they laugh easily with you, especially at your less than hilarious jokes, it suggests they feel relaxed and enjoy being around you. Gavin Stone really highlights the power of a real smile, and especially if it's reciprocated. You smile, they genuinely smile back. That's a strong connection.
But not all smiles are equal, right? The article mentions smirks or smiles without the eyes.
Right. A playful smile or smirk might hint at attraction, maybe more playfully sexual. But a one-sided smile, or one that doesn't engage the eyes, could potentially indicate something else entirely, maybe even disinterest or contempt in some contexts. Details matter.
Always the details. Okay, before we wrap up, Tracy Cox had a few extra little signs to look out for.
She did. Quick ones. Offering a coat or sweater if you're cold, that's seen as protective, caring, even intimate, sharing something personal.
Nice one. What else?
A bit of hesitation when they're near you. Like they seem unsure whether to stay or go. It can indicate nervousness, wanting to interact, but not knowing how.
The slightly awkward phase.
Could be. And finally, squaring up when they see you. Subconsciously straightening up, sucking the stomach in, puffing the chest out a bit, just trying to present their best physical self.
Putting their best foot or torso forward.
You could say that.
Okay, so wow, we've covered a lot. From eye contact and blinking all the way to voice tone and offering a coat. It really drives home how much communication is nonverbal.
It really does. And while putting these signs together can definitely give you some useful insights, some clues about potential interest, we absolutely have to stress it's not a guaranteed formula.
Absolutely. Context is everything. Culture plays a massive role. Individual personality is huge. You just can't make a definitive judgment based on one or two things.
Couldn't agree more. It's about noticing patterns, considering the whole situation.
So for you listening, maybe think about a recent interaction you had. Did you notice any of these signals, even tiny ones? And thinking about the specific context, the person, the setting, what might those cues suggest? It's less about finding definitive answers and more about tuning in to this fascinating layer of human connection.